before, so I'm hoping that this finds you in time to still provide some assistance, even if you've already, I guess, done the assignment. Maybe even better, you can go back and refine it. So as promised, just a short overview of the summative assignment. Um, as we chatted about the last time, I'm going to do my best, my very best, to not teach to the assignment at all. I mean, I actually think it's quite straightforward, but in marking some assignments from another module recently, I think my opinion is one of the challenges comes in is to how much to answer, how long to respond, etc. And I guess there are some questions also where I think there are one or two things that I can clarify. There might possibly be not confusion, but I get the sense that some people try and do a lot of work to overcompensate for not being sure what it is. So I'll try and be quick, but if it doesn't go too fast, I'll do two short videos. So question 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, let me get straight into it. I'm not going to read the case study, obviously. The most important thing I can say before we get going, and I'll say this over and over, and that's why I've said see rubric over here. This is a rubric assignment. The rubrics have been provided, and they literally give you the answer. They give you the subheadings of your essays. Start, read the question, read the rubric. So if you're not sure what it is that they are asking you, or the question is asking you, the rubric explains it quite thoroughly, what it is that we are wanting. So, and another important one to point out, I thought this one clearly says an essay or discussion of 500 to 600 words. And then further down in question 2, which we'll get to now, it just kind of says discuss one theory, discuss this. And I'm going to talk about mark allocation and figuring out your marks based on that now. But I wanted to kind of point out there is a clear difference. This one has got a word count. So you can read all of this, the importance of self-esteem and self-concept, and what they're asking you to do is to state why it's important for children to participate in physical activities. I'll go to the rubric now because that's where the answer or the structure really is for your answer. But in terms of word count, just kind of keep this word count in mind when we look at the rubric, and we'll start kind of breaking up more or less. Like there's no script here that you must spend 100 words on the introduction, 50 words on this, nothing like that. But I'm going to talk very broadly around it, and I want you to kind of figure out what works for you. It is very clearly stated, other than two sources other than your textbook and caps. So that's repeated throughout all the questions. So please, and they are marked dedicated in the rubric to other sources. Okay. Sorry for that pause. I had school holiday. So what can I say? I'm solo parenting. Okay, really quickly. Sorry about that pause. Let's go down to the rubric. Um, I don't look at these columns, just so you know. Those don't interest me. So this is what we're looking at. So an explanation of the whole life orientation plays. Um, it's kind of giving you your subheadings right here. Um, do you make reference to self-concept and self-esteem as a means of developing and maintaining internal balance, etc.? Are these concepts, are these concepts well explained? And then this is always, for any at your level, postgrad level, and this is, I mean, I'll repeat it throughout. Whenever there's mention of discuss, I guess the question always from students is, what is a valid point? If you just give me a statement unreferenced, I'm not saying that's 1 mark, but a full sentence would typically be your statement kind of linked to a textbook or to a theory, so something that's research backed up. and then your understanding of it kind of mixed into either the same sentence or it becomes two sentences. If you've ever done any like writing, you make your point, you link your point to a theory, or you use your theory to make a point, and then a practical example. So you'll see examples are included. So that is kind of my recipe for, especially for kind of the question two, when it says discuss one career guidance theory. So, or this says explain the principles of good counseling and provide examples. So in all of these questions, if you're looking for maximum marks in the maximum column, and I mean, lectures kind of, there is always going to be a bit of a variation. We do standardize as much as we can, but we want people to have discretion based on how they teach. So mine will be a little bit different to someone else, maybe. Maybe they are very particular about a format of an answer. But this way you are covered. Put it that way, if you cover all the bases. So you include something from the theory, which kind of makes your, and then you either latch onto that statement or you add a second statement that qualifies that theory or shows that you understand the application of that theory, and then your example. So that to me is like a well-rounded argument. Okay. Um, so, I mean, that would then apply to this next one. So, should recommend 4 strategies. So, name the strategy. Obviously, it's all going to be taken from maybe all from one source. I don't think you're going to go find 4 strategies from 4 different sources. If you do, well done. So, name your strategies from your sources, explain them as the questions is asking you to, and then provide some kind of a practical example. Uh, um, I mean, this question is actually asking for the practical example, as so you get my point, the theory. I'm trying to avoid, and this, I'm not telling you to write more. I feel like I'm actually trying to say the opposite. From the work I've been getting, people are giving like 3-page answers to a 10-mark question. That's madness for your sanity and mine, for your use of your time. I mean, often there's complaints about the amount of workload. I think because people want to excel so much that they overcompensate. So stick to the rubric. I've given you a bit of a recipe that I like to use and follow. Um, then let me move on to 1.3. This stood out because I figured there might be some confusion here. It says create a lesson activity. It does not ask you for a full lesson plan. Please, anybody, I know in the rubric there is mention of a lesson plan. It's not asking you for a lesson plan at all. I would understand if some people said created with created within the structure of an IIE lesson plan template. Maybe your lecturer said that. If not, you are welcome to use the lesson plan template, but there's no expectation that you complete a full lesson plan. Okay. It's only asking you for the activity part. And in that activity, you must obviously have clear objectives for the activity. So what it is you're trying to do, they've given it to you, but you must state it. The normal stuff, what grade would it be for? You can give some context if you'd like to. That isn't all in the rubric. Okay. Okay, let me pause there and then do another recording for time.